Hey guys, this is the Transformer Gundam, and if you didn't know by now, which is fairly obvious by this point, I am a huge Gunpla fan, and as such, I have built quite the collection. Today I figured I would start something a little different. This is going to be a new series called TFG's Throwback Review, where basically I will be looking at kits that I have already built in the past, and since this is a throwback review, I figured I would make this kind of like a throwback video as well, and go back to my roots. This is going to be videos that have very little edits, no scripts, so this is going to be completely just on top of my head. And yeah, I'll just say whatever comes to mind. And for today's episode, I figured it would be very fitting to start with the very first Master Grade, that being the Rx78-2 version 1.0. So I figured these would be just kind of easy videos for me to put together and post, and that would kind of help me stick with my whole one video a week. So yeah, these should be fun. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I've had this kit for a very long time, and a little fun story with this. When the Master Grade Rx78 version 3.0 came out, I remember asking my mom specifically for that kit. And somehow she got confused and she got me this kit. I mean, of course I didn't complain because of course I, still got a model kit. But it was not the 3.0. This is instead the 1.0, which as I said is the very first Master Grade to come out. Now this came out way back in 1995. And you can see, or you will see, this is vastly different from what we are used to seeing now with the Master Grade line. This is more like an old school high grade. You can't even compare this to modern high grades. Modern high grades technology have just been getting so good recently. But this is like an old school high grade that has been upscaled, and it has some really cool details. So that's about the best way I can describe him. So let's get a closer look at the model kit itself. One thing that is really cool about this kit is that this decal was actually already on the shoulder. I think it's just the Amuro logo. Right out of the box, you don't have to apply that on. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that was already on there. I don't remember about this UNT Space C logo, or if I applied that myself. This logo I definitely did apply, which is Rx78-3. Now you're probably wondering, wait, why does that say Rx78-3 instead of Rx78-2? Well, I specifically remember trying to apply the Rx78-2 logo and messing it up. So I just went with the Rx78-3 because that was the only other option. For other decals I applied this one here. It's just a little caution logo. And I think that's really about it. So, as I said, for looks, this is very dated. It doesn't look bad. It's very retro looking, really very old school. So if you are, a fan of the whole old school look, then this definitely has it, with the chunky looking chest, the arms, and the head as well is very, very old school looking. I mean, this is an old school kit, so it makes sense. Now, some cool features that this kit does have is that it does have some opening hatches. There actually is one in the head which opens up like that, which reveals some mechanical detail in there. However, over time, it got really loose on my kit, so I ended up just gluing this in, so I can't really show that off anymore. But there is opening hatches in the arm here, so if you pull this, you can see some mechanical detail in there, which is really nice. Then you can just fold it back in place like so. There's also some detail in here if you remove this yellow piece, which I will try to do on camera. And you can already see one problem is this kit likes to fall apart at the waist, but we'll get more into that later. So let me see if I can just remove this yellow vent piece. There we go. Oh. I could have sworn that there was some mechanical details in there. I guess not. that is weird. Huh. Because I remember looking at the box before getting this guy out just to make sure I had everything. And I remember it advertising that there was some mechanical detail in the vents. Either I forgot to put the piece there or I was just mistaken. So apparently there is nothing under the vents. So I guess that is good to know. Let me see if I can just get this back on. So I was looking at pictures of the box, and apparently the detail under the vent they call intake detail, and in the picture they actually painted it gray. So if you want that detail to stand out more, you're gonna have to paint it yourself, because as is, it's just the same color blue plastic as the rest of the chest. So that's something to note there. So other opening hatches is that there is one on the legs as well. This one doesn't really open that much before it just kind of comes off. You can see it's just a little poly cap in there. But there are some pretty nice looking details in there. And one thing you might also notice is that I am missing the cover piece for the back part of the waist that's supposed to cover this. This is for, of course, storing the bazooka, which I'll get into that later. So, yeah, and it looks like I also painted this part with a red Gundam marker. I don't know if there was a decal or something that went there, but that is something else to know. And this backpack is really nice as well. It has, of course, these moving thrusters, but not only that, you can take this whole part off, and it reveals some more nice details. Some really cool mechanical details. So that's one thing I will say. This kit, even though it doesn't have a full inner frame, actually this kit doesn't have an inner frame at all, it does have some very cool mechanical details. So that is awesome. And then of course you can just pop this back on here. And there you go. So that is about it for the details. Now before I get into the accessories and other gimmicks that this thing can do, let's very quickly go over the articulation. So the head is just on a simple ball joint, so it can rotate. Can it go full? Yeah, of course it can go full 360. And it can go up and down, side to side. Not really so much side to side, and only a little bit up and down there. The arms, of course, can go 360, just on a simple peg. Go out and out about that much. There is rotation right here. And for the elbow bend, it's just a simple one joint there, so about a 90-degree bend there. And here we get a look at the old school Master Grade hands, which can rotate 360. These fingers move together, so these three fingers move together. The trigger finger can move separately, and the thumb is on the ball joint. So it has pretty nice articulation. However, you may notice that there is no little peg sticking out there, which you're traditionally used to seeing with some of the newer school or newer Master Grades. Is that there's a peg that usually you can attach the weapons into, which will ensure a secure connection. This doesn't have any of that, so the only thing holding these weapons up is friction and gravity. So these hands are not the best for holding weapons, but they can still work. And one thing that my figure or model kit has is that these joints do not like to stay together. Just over time, they fall off very easily, as you can see here. And it's just a simple poly cap into a peg there. So moving on to the waist, it can rotate, not a full 360 because it has a core block in there, which I'll talk about later. As for the front skirts, they can move separately, and the legs can only move about that much. Before, as you can see, this part will hit the little white plastic part in there, which hinders it a lot. As for the back skirts, they do not move at all. So you only get that far back, that far forward. And then for the spread, these parts can also move a little bit. You only get about that much. So very, very hindered leg articulation. There is technically some rotation here. And for the leg bend, you only get about a 90-degree angle there. Actually, that's a little less than 90, actually. As you can see, yeah, it's just one joint in there. As for the feet, you can see there are some nice pistons in there, except they are in white, so you're gonna have to paint those in gray if you want. But a little bit of up and down, little bit of rotation, and these move a little bit, but not really too much there. So that is about it for the articulation. And of course these can wiggle around a little bit. So very, very hindered, but this is the very first Master Grade, and yeah, this is a kit from 1995, so you can't really blame it too much, but of course it does not compare to any of the newer Master Grades at all. So yeah, let's get into the accessories now, and first off, I want to talk about the gimmick here in the chest. Of course, it has an opening cockpit, so you can open that part, and you might or might not be able to see there is a little Armoro pilot figure in there. And what you can do is actually take this whole part off, and you can pull this section out, and this is the core block. So this thing has a core block and a core fighter. Unfortunately, I lost the core fighter, so I just kind of keep the core block in there. But just to give you an idea of what it looks like, this is completely unpainted, so you're gonna have to paint all this up to make it look all nice. And you can see some, I guess, duster detail, but that's really just to attach it to this part of the waist. You can see why this is not really the best connection, because there's two simple pegs that plug into these holes, and it doesn't do the best job of actually keeping it in place, and it comes off very easily, as you can see there. But yeah, that's the core block, and let's see if you can maybe get a closer look at the little pilot inside there. Let's see if we can get some more light on it. Move the camera a little bit closer to the light. Come on, focus, please. Focus. There you go. You can kind of see him in there, yeah. Pretty nicely detailed figure. So yeah, I'll just attach this back on here. Like that. Get this back into focus. Move this camera slightly. Okay. So yeah, you can see how that attaches back like that. Close that up. And so now let's get into some of the accessories. It is just the Rx78-2, so it comes with the standard stuff that you would expect. First off, here is a look at the shield. Put this little decal on there. And yeah, it's pretty basic. You know, you get red, white, yellow, standard stuff, really. I'm pretty sure there was an attachment, so you can attach it onto the arm, and you can move it between these three pegs, but I don't have that piece. But there is this part. Oh yeah, and one thing also is that there's a clear plastic piece in there, which actually that's pretty cool. But you can use this part to attach it onto the back like that. So there you go. That's what it looks like when it's attached to the back. Unfortunately, I lost the attachment piece, so I cannot attach it onto the arms. But as I said, you'll be able to move it around between these three pegs depending on how far you want it on the arm. So what else does it come with? Well, it of course comes with the standard Gundam bazooka here. It has some moving parts. This part can move. It doesn't have any removable clips. This does not move at all. And it can attach onto the back simply by pulling this part up. And you can see there is a little hook system in there. Basically take this part, hook it onto there like that, and there you go. Now it is stored on the back part of the waist, and that is what it looks like with the bazooka. And if you want, you can also attach the shield back on as well. So let me just do that. There you go, just to give you an idea of what it looks like with the bazooka and shield attached to the back. And of course, he also comes with the famous Gundam beam rifle here. Has a nice yellow part in there, so you don't have to paint that. That's very cool. The scope does move a little there. This part also moves, and that's really about it. Oh yeah, okay, so it also has a little thing in here that can move out, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you can store it on the waist simply by hooking this part into there. Let me test it out to see if it works. And, oh god. There you go. You can see the bazooka came loose. But yeah, you can store all of his weapons on the Gundam itself, which is very cool. I always like that when you can store all the accessories on the actual kit. So let me just take this bazooka off since it's already gonna fall off anyways. And take off the gun, close this little hatch back up. And let's see if I can actually get him to hold the weapon. So might be easier if I just actually pulled this part off and show it off here. So as I said, there is no little peg or anything that you can just plug this into. So you kind of have to put it in yourself, wrap the trigger finger into that, close the hands around there, and hope for the best. You can see it can't hold it. The connection's really loose, and surprisingly it hasn't fallen out yet, but you can see very, very loose connection. However, let me just get this back in, and there you go. You can see he can still hold his beam rifle. Of course, he's not going to be able to dual wield it or anything like that, but you can get him to hold the beam rifle. So that's cool. Now let's try the same thing with the bazooka. So probably the best way to go about that is try to put this over his shoulder and try to, oh god. Okay, let me bend his elbow a bit. And this would really benefit from a little, like, if this part can move up and down a little, like you can on most of the modern Master Grade bazookas, that would very much help this. But this doesn't, of course, does not have that. So we're gonna have to try to do this. Let me just try moving this again. Get this into the hands first. Maybe that'll help make things a bit easier. Try to wrap the hands around everything here. And oh god, I don't know if this is gonna work out. Try to plug this back in here, and wait, might have done. There we go. I actually did it, kind of. It's barely holding on to it, but as you can see, he is holding his bazooka. So there you go. You need him to hold both the beam rifle and the bazooka. So yeah, that's very cool. And of course he comes with the beam sabers. I don't have any of the original beams, but I do have a random Master Grade beam here that does not actually really fit into this beam saber all the way. You can see the little peg sticking out there. But it works kind of, I guess. And let's just see if I can get this into his hands. Yeah, you can hold the beams, or the beam sabers, perfectly fine. A little loose fit, but again, it still works. And so yeah, that's basically about it for this model kit. Can I recommend this? No, absolutely not. There are plenty, and I mean plenty, of other Rx78 kits out there that are way better than this one. But if you are an old school fan, this could be a cool kit to have just for, I guess, nostalgia purposes, or if you just want to take a trip back down memory lane and build the very first Master Grade. For some reason, you can. But yeah, this kit has definitely not aged well. For the time, I'm sure it was really cool. And it must have been very successful because, of course, if this kit wasn't successful, I don't know if the Master Grade line would have still been around. But anyways, I guess let me just do some quick size comparisons. Let me just go grab some kits and we'll do some quick comparisons. So for comparison, here it is with the high grade Beyond Global Rx78-2. And as I said in that review, you can really just see how far the technology has come. This kit, even though it is, actually, I don't know if it's cheaper. It's probably cheaper than this kit, honestly. I don't remember how much this kit was when it first came out, but of course you can probably get this kit for about $20 to $25. This kit you can probably get for around the ballpark of $15 to $20. This kit is vastly superior in every single way. And yeah, it's just amazing to see. This one came out in 2020. This one came out in 1995. And yeah, it's just mind-blowing to see just how far Gunpla has come. But yeah, there it is with the 1/144 scale high grade Beyond Global Rx78-2. For a quick Master Grade comparison, here he is with the Master Grade Strike Freedom Okwara Kunio version. And yeah, what can I say? This is a more modern Master Grade. This is the first Master Grade. Just to give you the idea of, you know, how much the Master Grade line has evolved. There you go. And finally, just for fun, here is the Master Grade Rx78-2 version 1.0 right next to the Earthrise or Kingdom, it's basically the same figure, version of Optimus Prime. And yeah, I mean, I am the Transformer Gundam, so of course I have to bring a Transformer into a Gundam review. But anyways, that's about it for the comparison, so let me get into my final thought. So, final thoughts on this kit. As I already said, I don't really recommend this kit, especially if you are new to Gundam. There are so much better Rx78-2 kits, but if you have been building for a while, or you just want a very easy to assemble old school model kit, then you can't really go wrong with the very first Master Grade. It is kind of cool owning a piece of history. But again, I would only recommend this if you are a hardcore Master Grade fan, fan of the Rx78-2, maybe you're a completionist, or you just want to, you know, go back to a more simple time and put together the first Master Grade. So, that's about it for this review. Let me know what you think of these throwback reviews. I enjoyed doing these because they are very easy to do, very little editing, and yeah, they're just nice, easy videos for me to put out. So let me know what you think. Do you want me to continue doing this? And if so, I will just probably pull out a random kit that I already have built, that I have most of the accessories for, because a lot of my kits over time I just lost a lot of the accessories for. But this one I had most of the stuff for it still, besides the core fighter. But, you know, yeah, it's still there. So anyways, that's about it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, this is Transformer Gundam, signing out.